I'm Patrick Poe.
And I'm Lolo Loren.
And we're Screen on the Spot.
And we're getting to know us through movies.
There you go. That was so good. We messed up.
Almost messed up.
Yeah, it's probably because we don't have Sarah here, so we're just thrown off. We've only ever done like one episode without Sarah, but we had guests. We had multiple guests, and that kind of helped. But usually she's like the rock of the podcast, I guess.
You just wanted to say, and we're 2/3 of Screen
We're
on the Spot.
That's what it was. We're the way less interesting Screen on the Spot. That's not true. Thanks guys for coming on.
Yeah, we're
thanks
so
for
happy to be
having
here.
us.
Yeah, I mentioned before we recorded, but like I haven't met you guys, but known you sort of peripherally because I have either seen stuff that you're in or like been at a film festival that you had something at.
That's what I love about like the KC film community is that if I don't know you, I probably know of you or have seen your work.
Right, exactly.
Or sometimes I get very confused because I will have seen so much of someone's work. They'll think I know them.
Yeah.
And realize, oh, no. I just am a fan, I guess.
Oh, right. We also, so whenever I edit these, I always put the lower third on that says what you are, but you guys do a lot of things. And so it's going to be hard to put down. I'm just going to say filmmaker, probably.
Yeah.
That's
But
a great way to put it.
Put a scroll across the screen.
Yeah, that's what I should do. That's right, yeah. Because not only do you guys make stuff, but you have a podcast.
Yeah.
You also do the Birdwatching Film Festival.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you just, and probably other stuff, I'm going to guess.
I mean, I think that's like the main three. I did stand up for a while. The pandemic kind of put like a pause on that for myself. But like, comedians, filmmakers,
You put that on the
podcasters.
call, yeah,
So
okay.
you sleep at night.
Yeah.
We don't.
What is sleep?
Do you see the
What are you
bags?
saying?
That was my worry. I was like, am I going to have bags on this podcast? 'Cause
it's pretty much if it's film related, we probably do it or have done it. And
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. And also you're married, right?
Yes,
we
we
are.
I said that as in, I didn't know that, but
It's like an afterthought.
yeah.
Way to go.
yeah. But I think it's kind of cool as a filmmaking pair.
Yeah,
that you guys
it's-
do that together. So did you get married and then start doing stuff, or were you guys doing stuff and
We
then?
actually
I joke it's a marriage of convenience.
we started working together first, and that went well. So
Yeah, we pretty much actually like met on a 48-hour film competition in 2011.
sure.
Cool, love it.
Yeah.
And that we were the only two that like stayed up through the whole thing, worked through the whole thing, and kind of finished a project that's not watchable.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's so bad. But we were kids, so what do you
Sure.
expect? And then from there, eventually, Lolo wanted to make a feature.
Yeah.
And she got me kind of
I was
wrapped
like,
into
this
that.
guy worked really hard on the 48. I
She's
like
like,
that.
I could force him to work way harder for
way
free.
longer.
Yeah. And that became IX Film Productions. And then from there, we started dating and making more movies together. And then we started living together so that we'd have the computer at the same place.
Convenient.
The editing
Get it?
bay
The
became convenient to live
upside
with.
and downside of being married to the person you work with is you're working 24/7.
Yeah.
Yes.
See them all the time.
Right.
There's
right.
no downtime, which is awesome. And sometimes you have to remember to take an actual break.
Yeah. We try to like give ourselves like a day where we don't really work. The other day we're like, all right, we're not going to do anything on Saturday. We're going to like have a fun day. We went out to breakfast and the whole time we just talked about the next Birdwatching Film
Yeah.
Fest. That's all that
We
was
just sat there
discussed.
and programmed it on our phones. So
When did you all decide that you wanted to be filmmakers? Was that something you've always known since you were little, or
Do you wanna
something
go?
that just came up as you got older?
Do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
Whichever. I can go first.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So for me, there was a long time where I would have loved to have been a part of it and worked in film and done film stuff. And I didn't know that it was a possibility. I didn't think of it as something that you could do. And I remember the first time that I thought of film as a job was seeing Star Wars and then seeing Raiders of the Lost Ark and realizing that Han Solo and Indiana Jones were the same person. And then I was like, oh my God, if they're the same person, that means there's a person whose job is to be Han Solo and Indiana Jones. That's what I want to do with my life. I want to be Han Solo and Indiana Jones. And so that was a thing that got me into acting, that got me to theater, but I never thought film was a career you could pursue, especially in Kansas City. I didn't know anyone that was involved in it. I didn't know that there was a community here. So I kind of had like decided to give up on that and was going to college kind of for like theater and English, but I was maybe going to be a teacher or something because like that's a real job that I knew existed. And then I met Lolo.
I was a really bad
And,
influence. I was like, no, let's be broke and make movies.
Yeah, she totally changed it because she had the vision that it was possible to be a filmmaker because she came from a totally different world. Where'd you come from? Space?
Yeah.
The blue hair is natural. This is a real hair color.
I dye the roots so no one knows.
Exactly.
I mean, I came up in theater when I was really little. I did a lot of theater, so I started in that aspect of it. And then I got really obsessed when my family got a home camcorder.
Yeah.
That was my like obsession. And then I very quickly discovered that, I like film better even. Like film is like, this is incredible.
It's because she's a control freak and she had more control.
Yeah, I was like, I can have absolute control of everything and edit it.
But she started YouTube really young.
I was YouTubing when I was like 13.
And we had a mutual friend in high school. I didn't know Lolo, but I knew her YouTube channel. And I'd watched all of her YouTube videos before we met. I was a fan. I was a subscriber to Lolo's.
I was doing sketch comedy on YouTube from like 13 to 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then by the time we'd met, Lolo was like, I'm done with YouTube. I was
like, I'm a serious filmmaker now.
And now we're YouTubers.
And now now I have films that go to film festivals that are still dumb sketch comedy, though. It's the same thing. I'm doing the same thing.
They go to film festivals, they win awards, and then they
go
on
our YouTube.
It's like the attitude is different about it, I guess, now.
Yeah.
Like
no, I think for a minute I was like, I'm going to be a serious filmmaker. And then I realized, oh, no, I hate that. I'm going to go back to just being jokey.
The gear has gotten better. Besides that, it's just all still.
And I guess working together on a film set's a nice like marriage test. I guess if you can put up with each other in a high stress scenario like that.
We joke, but it's not. I guess it's not really a joke. The only thing we ever fight about is decisions on a film set.
It's the most important thing.
We only argue about a shot list.
Yeah.
How many features have you guys made now?
We've made 6.
6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have they all been released? I know some are out there, but
they've all been different things have happened to all of them. Obviously, it's like a weird journey.
We had a couple on Prime for a bit, and the
We
most
still have
recent
one
one
that's on
just
Prime.
finished its festival circuit this year.
And so now we're seeing what will happen with the release of Almost Sorta Maybe. We have nothing that we can like
say
yet, or nothing's definite yet. So
Gotcha.
we'll see where it goes, but we're currently in that fun phase of like, what's gonna happen? Who knows? There's a handful of them that are on our Patreon though. There's one still on Amazon Prime.
Zoink, right?
Yeah, Zoink. Yep, it's still watchable.
Which is an older one.
Yeah, but it is funny
The
because
new
like
one's better.
features take so long to make and then also to release. Every time we've gotten a feature out, by the time it's out, I'm like, I'm a better filmmaker.
Oh,
Like I tell stories different. I have different capabilities as a filmmaker, and so does Lolo. And so it's like that doesn't represent us anymore. I think it represents like the style of kind of narrative things that we were at that time, but it's not where we are now. And I think that's kind of the beauty of
That's just
art,
the never-ending feeling of an art form that takes so long.
Yeah.
Though.
And it's also like that same idea of like what Akira Kurosawa used to always say. If people asked him like, what is your best film? He'd always say my next film.
Oh, sure.
Because he always wanted to make the next one a little bit better. And I think I kind of strive for that same idea. So
Well, how long does that process take for because we're all used to just seeing films and they come together and then people are like, oh yeah, that was cool. Yeah, the next one. But like, how long does that really take you guys to work on something like that? Is it, months, years? I mean, how often does that take?
It has varied film to film between the 6 features we've made. I definitely think with the most recent one, we slowed down a lot, and I think that was a good choice because it's definitely
Almost Sorta Maybe is the best
one
thing we've made, in my opinion.
Yeah, because we do it so low budget, though. We usually are like, we're filming on weekends because everybody has the day jobs too, and so it is a very gradual like, we're shooting this Sunday and then nobody's free for 2 weeks, so then we'll pick up the next scene that weekend.
And then post-production is however long it takes to get that edit done, and then you have the festival thing, which is like kind of a year of submissions, and then some acceptances, which are always great, and then maybe awards, which is incredible, but then you also have like a million rejections that nobody sees. And then when that's over, you have to be like, okay, now what do we actually do with it? And then you have to figure out if it's VOD and how you're going to do things like that. For Mr. Lee, we did a very small self-printed run of Blu-rays.
Yeah, we did.
That we bought a Blu-ray printer. We bought all sorts of like a disc, like cover art printer even. It went wild, made like 40 of them. Sold
They turned
them
out
all,
really
and then
nice.
was like, that was a lot of work.
The most recent feature, though, I think we spent about 2 years really working on it between shooting and then post-production.
Yeah, it was 2017 and 2019, and then
It
unfortunately,
it had been
Oh,
accepted
right.
to the festival run 2020, and then it all got canceled.
Right.
So it then finally, we just sat on it until this year when festivals were in person again, and they did a bunch of festivals this year finally. So that one was
Just
2017 to now. It's
yeah,
screened.
it's been a long process of almost sort of maybe's journey, and yeah, now it's done its screenings. It did win a couple awards, and
Yeah.
now we can finally start looking at getting it out. And it's been like, whoa,
long
that
time.
took
Yeah.
some time.
But in the
you know,
meantime, you guys have been doing a lot of short stuff still, right?
tons of
Yeah.
shorts.
That was-
yeah.
I have watched a lot in the last
There's
several
too
weeks
many.
or so.
I'm so sorry.
Well, no, it's okay. But the one, I feel like I always feel like I'm a fairly mature person, but then I watch a short skit about farts, and I lose my mind. And then I'm like thinking about it. Was telling my wife about it, and was still laughing. And of course, she was just like, "Okay, are you 7?" But Silent but Deadly
Thank you.
was really funny because it's
Thank
you would love it.
Oh, yeah.
I have to spoil it, so I'm sorry, but it's essentially like a movie trailer
Yep.
about. It's like a horror movie, but it's about farts.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
There you go.
it's about a fart that kills people.
I mean,
Yeah.
clearly we're not mature.
yeah. Yeah, Silent but Deadly's a really fun one. We also have made an entire short that's about a poop joke, which everybody does it. So we're not adults, but
Well, I wanted to shout that one out in
thank you
particular.
so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
And then you also have your own podcast, which
Yeah.
First Timers Movie Club.
Yep.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Which
First
is
Movie Club.
if you want to. How did you guys decide to do that?
Well, there was a pandemic.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
we couldn't shoot another movie. And that's
Yeah.
kind of where it started.
The pandemic was difficult because filmmaking is a collaborative art form. And for a while, we didn't have the ability to go collaborate with other people and create stuff. And we did create a couple things within just like
Our bubble.
the two of us and Amber and maybe like her dad or somebody else in it, because there were people that were in our little pod of humans. But like we couldn't do something big. We couldn't do a feature. We couldn't do stuff with even our friends that are just actors. So we were really like itching to do something creative, and we started watching movies together that we hadn't seen before. And eventually what I like to do once I watch a movie is I hyperfixate on it. I read all the trivia. I talk about it for days.
Yeah.
Yeah, what we do on the podcast, which is, we watch new movies that one of us hasn't seen. We share a lot of trivia, behind the scenes reactions. That's just what we do in real life already.
But you just record it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was kind of the idea, is we'd watched a couple that kind of got us to like, oh, this could be a podcast. Like we watched Halloween for the first time. And then there was another one that we'd watched just right before we started the podcast that was like, oh, this should be a thing. And obviously we have all the recording equipment already. We have editing software. We'd already done a podcast before called Indies on Indie. And I was like, let's just do it, the two of us. We don't have to leave. We can do this. We can watch movies. We can learn. We can grow during this pandemic. And we still enjoy talking about movies, so we keep doing it.
Yeah. My favorite feedback I've gotten from the podcast, too, is people telling me, oh, I went and watched that movie because you did it on the podcast.
Oh, sure.
And I loved it. I was like, oh, well, that's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That is really cool. It's a really fun concept. I've listened to quite a few now. I've been like
you.
picking and
Oh.
choosing. I haven't listened to one that's a movie that I haven't seen yet, because that's going to be like
We have
maybe
a lot of friends that do that.
really okay.
Yeah.
Because like maybe over the holidays I'll pick a movie I actually haven't seen, and then I'll watch it, and then I'll listen or something.
I have one friend, because like
You could listen to the intro. And then
That's
pause
what
it,
I-
watch the
exactly
movie,
what I
and
should
then
That's
do.
what I was
the
going to say,
outro.
is we've got a format that like we do half of it is all talking about the context of when the movie comes out. And then there's a musical break that tells you, oh, we're going to go watch the
Yeah.
movie. And then we come back after seeing the movie. And so we do have some people that have been like, if I haven't seen the film, I'll listen to that first half.
Oh, sure.
Watch the film myself. And it's a long event then at that
Sure.
point. But
yeah. Which a lot of it is like you're building it up, like the Superman episode I listened to recently.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of like you're shocked that this person hasn't seen anything that's Superman, but it's really fun. And then like getting her reaction, of course, afterwards is really fun. So
Is there? This may be already one of the questions that we asked, because I haven't looked at the questions. But is there a movie that you both watched that you're like, that you haven't seen and you watched on the podcast? You're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing! Like one of your favorites.
oh man,
Oh.
that's so. I'm so bad at picking favorite movies. I'm just the worst at it because I have that little bit of brain where like I'll watch a thing and then I do hyper fixate on that's the movie right now. But like Titanic is one that like it's actually our first episode. I love Titanic now. I'd never seen Titanic. I will tell everyone I talk to that Titanic's an incredible movie. And I bashed Titanic for 30 years of my existence, being like, there's no way it's good.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't believe it. Like, it's just a movie about a boat scene. We all know how it ends. Oh, we can't fit on the door. Who cares? And then I watched it and like I was crying and I was just like, this is a beautiful film. And like, not just the story itself, the construction of filmmaking done.
Oh, sure.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's gorgeously done. They set up the beginning. They tell you what it's about. They tell you why you're going to be emotional at the end. And then they just continue to forward that plot until you cry. And like thinking about it right now, I'm getting verklempt. Like, I'm like, oh my God, Titanic's a beautiful movie. Yeah. So I think that one's for me. For you, it's Bill and Ted.
For me, I'm sad I didn't live my whole life with Bill and Ted in it. Like after seeing that movie, I was like, my whole life would have been better if I'd seen Bill and Ted sooner.
Sure.
I'm certain of it.
It's a great film.
It was just
It is
such
really
a
fun.
good movie.
Plus, you have the reverse reaction of like the entire world because everybody knew Keanu Reeves from Bill and Ted, and then suddenly he's doing action movies, and that's got to be weird. But for you, it was the reverse probably. Because,
I'd seen him in action movies and loved him, and then seeing Bill and Ted, I was like, oh my God, it's baby Keanu. This is crazy to see baby Keanu.
Yeah. Well, while this would be a good transition to our questions, I also want to ask about Birdwatching Film Festival and how you guys decided, or what. Maybe why is obvious, but I guess how did that come about?
We had been talking with other friends of ours for a while about that there is so much incredible filmmaking being done in Kansas City, and we feel like there really is a shortage of ways for those films to connect with an audience. Like we have a couple really great film festivals in town, but they are once a year. Right. If you're busy that weekend, you can't go. You know, it's very limited, these opportunities.
And it's highly competitive, even as a local, to get into a lot of those film festivals.
If your festival's once a year, you can't show everything. Yeah. You literally can't. So it's hard. And then our friends opened the Bird Comedy Theater in the Crossroads. And they actually asked us, they were like, would you guys want to take over a day a month?
Yeah, they were like,
and do something film related.
There are 30 days in a month, and it's hard to program even like.
Oh, sure.
We struggle to program one day a month with bird watching, just like making an event. And I'm like, I couldn't imagine doing it all month long, owning an event venue. But they're like, hey, do you want to take over a day? And I was like,
and we were like, a venue is what we've been missing. Yes, please.
Yeah, and we did. We kind of like, I think one of the hardest things as an independent creator isn't necessarily making your film. Like first it's knowing that you can make a film and just taking that step, but then the next hardest thing is getting that film seen, getting that film out there. And obviously there are things like you can throw it up on YouTube, but you don't know if anyone's going to watch it. You don't know if the algorithm's going to choose your thing as the thing that should be seen. So that's where I was seeing a difficulty. I was seeing all this stuff being made, seeing all my friends making films, and then not showing them to people and not having a place to display them or get an audience's reaction. Because even on YouTube, I don't know that you're watching Silent but Deadly and loving it. I maybe see a view count go up and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Somebody watched it. But I don't get to hear the laughter or see the visceral reaction of if somebody makes a drama, like feel the room go silent and lean in. Like that experience is priceless to me. And I wanted to figure out a way to give that to filmmakers in the area. And I think that's kind of where...
Yeah, and doing it monthly, we're able to show a lot of films. It's less competitive because we can show so many great things.
Yeah, we've done like almost 12 films a month for 7-8 months at this point. So
that's been going on longer than I realized even. That's cool.
Yeah, we started in May, and it's been really exciting that people have been coming. We've had a full house every month, like especially the past couple months. We're like, we're gonna have to start actually doing some kind of ticketing if it keeps being this full. We're gonna be turning people away,
just so that we know that we're not gonna like overpack the room or something.
Yeah, but we're doing it every month, and it's free to attend and free for local filmmakers to submit to, because we want it to be super accessible to audiences as well, because we're trying to build an audience and be like, no, watching indie films is really cool and fun. You should come do it. Like,
yeah, and I'd rather them, like, if they've got an extra $5, I'd rather them support the filmmaker themselves that they like. Like a lot of filmmakers either have like, we have a Patreon, or like you can figure out a way to support a filmmaker. Go buy their film on Vimeo or whatever it is. But like, I'd rather the money go into that kind of creation than go to our festival or whatever. I'd also want them to have no barrier of entry to watch these films.
Sure.
Because like we go to a lot of film festivals and we see the things that we like and what we dislike, and we're trying to kind of create a culture that we enjoy of watching films that are made.
Yeah, I don't want a ticket price to be a reason you don't come see local art.
Yeah.
I don't want that to be the thing that is the deciding factor for whether or not you come out.
Yeah, and I don't want like a filmmaker to have to pay money to us to submit.
Right.
And then if we don't show their film, like that's just lost money for a lot of filmmakers. So I just wanted it to be a thing that filmmakers could submit to and audiences could see.
So do you have the dates?
We're
Yeah.
generally, unless there's some crazy conflict, we're the fourth Wednesday of every month.
Okay,
at
cool.
The Bird.
Yeah,
Okay,
fourth Wednesday of the month.
If you want to see Best of the Year, we are doing in February, because it's Oscar month, we're going to do the Best of 2022. We're going to show all the audience choice winners and do
That's
a
a
fun
great
event.
idea.
Yeah, we're going to try to figure out how we can show as many audience choices.
It's not fully structured yet.
Yeah,
Did I say too much?
Yeah.
We're doing some kind of best of thing maybe in February.
Okay.
Is that
Yes.
better? Okay.
That's better. I like that.
That's very
I
cool.
just think it's so cool what you guys are doing to help, expand all the independent film scene in Kansas City, because it is important to
Thank you so much.
showcase
Thanks.
all the art that's in our town, and we have such a beautiful town, and just it's a really cool place to live.
Yeah.
And there's work
it's-
being done all the time, and
Exactly.
people don't
And it's
always
like,
know.
yeah,
So
people don't know still that
Right.
Kansas City has so many great areas.
I mean, obviously, like we've been doing this for a decade, and people are always like, "Why don't you move to LA?" or "Are you gonna move to LA?" And that's obviously a conversation we've had a billion times, and it flip flops a bunch. But the main reason, and the thing I'll tell anyone, is that it's so much easier to make your film here. I have so many friends that have moved to LA and struggled to continue making their own art. It's maybe there are more jobs and it's easier to work, but it's not as easy to make your art. And if you want to make your art, Kansas City's the place to make art.
That's been the
And
common
people are
thing.
so supportive of that art that you're making here.
Trevor and Corey and I think Trey, they all said the same thing. It's like, you don't have to leave. You can stay here and do stuff. There's plenty of opportunity.
It's really building to be less LA centric as more states get film incentives, and hopefully as Kansas and Missouri get film incentives and bigger incentives, it'll build more to those states. But like they're noticing Atlanta and Oklahoma and all these other states that are popping up with incentives. People are going there and hiring out of there, and you can audition people from those areas remotely, and it doesn't.
Well, and there's so much going on here. We've done since May. We've only shown local films so far.
Yeah,
Like,
that's great.
There's that many good local films.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. There's so many films showing, because like that's 8 months, 12 films. That's 100 and some local films I've shown in the past year.
Yeah.
And they're great. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to know you guys a little bit better. We may not be able to get to all these because there's two of you.
Yeah.
And
That's fair.
I
And
did
we're
not cut it.
long-winded.
Yeah.
We're very chatty people.
That's okay. What's the first movie you remember seeing in a theater?
Do you want to go first? Because yours is very vivid for you.
It was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
That's awesome.
Because my family, we just didn't really go to the movies when I was little. So that was
Same.
the first movie I saw in theaters, and it blew my mind. It was incredible because I'd grown up mostly on like,
Well, it's a magical film.
well, my mom's really
Literally.
into like Golden Age Hollywood musicals and Doris Day movies and that kind of stuff. Singing in the Rain was more what I grew up on. So Harry Potter was like so far from what any of that was. That was incredible.
That's the first movie I saw alone in a theater because we went and saw it as a family, the first one, because we were obsessed with Harry Potter and read the books and stuff. And then I told my parents I wanted to see it again, but my dad didn't want to go see it again. And my mom, who was very supportive, was just like, yeah, sure, we'll go take you. And I was like 12 when it came out, I guess, because it was 2001.
That sounds
That
right.
sounds right.
Yeah, but so I went and saw it by myself for a second time. It was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm more comfortable doing that now.
I mean, I still
Yeah.
don't like seeing movies by myself.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
I do it out of necessity most of the time nowadays, but like back then I was a kid.
I would,
Yeah,
I would love to, like, any movie, if like Lolo doesn't want to see it, I want to take a friend, or I want to like, I don't like going by myself.
Yeah.
I went by myself to see Joker. It was a weird experience.
That's a weird one to
It
see
was
by
a weird one to
yourself.
see by
Yeah, for
yourself.
real.
It
Yeah.
was me and like 50 other dudes by themselves. It was like, this is wrong. I don't
Yeah.
like this.
yeah.
But for me, I don't necessarily have one of those like first movie I saw in theater movies, because my family is very like, they're theater people, they're film people. I grew up in different theaters, like either seeing live shows, seeing musicals, or seeing movies. So like I know I saw Phantom Menace in theaters because I was obsessed with Phantom Menace as a child, but I don't have a like visceral memory of like, this was my first movie.
Sure.
I think I just
You were taken
lived
too young
there.
to necessarily really remember.
Yeah.
That's what I said that on the last one we recorded, but the first one I saw in a theater was Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, the sequel.
Oh, okay.
And I have like a very, very small memory of it, and I don't really know if that was just my parents telling me that we did it, or if it was an actual memory of being.
That's
in
what
there.
I was thinking. Yeah. I was like, I need to ask my parents and just be
Yeah.
like, "What do you think was the first movie you took young Patrick to?" 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't remember at all. Like,
What is your favorite film that has a tie to Kansas City, or it could be a director, actor, anything related to Kansas City?
so that's such a. Do you mean mainstream film or do you mean indie film though? Because I've got 100 and some indie films, and
that we just watched this year.
I watched 9 more films made in Kansas City this morning before coming here to try to program bird watching.
Yeah.
Can I say my own film? Almost, sort of, maybe. Like, no.
That's the one. Yeah.
We do represent Kansas City very well.
Yeah. No. I mean, one of the things
you can almost sort of maybe mention.
That was one of my favorite things about that movie is that we have a shot where our main character like has this really nice office in it, and we have a shot out the office window of the Western Auto sign.
Oh, nice.
And I was just so happy that the location lined up so we could show the Western Auto sign.
Mm-hmm.
We could show downtown Kansas City.
Well, I've only seen the trailer, but even the streetcar is like a big part.
Yeah, we had a great opportunity to film on the streetcar. We were one of the first like indie films that shot on the streetcar, which they were so welcoming to.
That's awesome.
It was
Kansas City is great to film in because they are just like, yeah, sure, yeah, do it.
But then like if we're talking mainstream stuff, like we love Ted Lasso and Jason Sudeikis.
It
And
just makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Yes,
It really does.
that is the kind of content we like desire to create.
Sure.
Is stuff like Ted Lasso with just such a
Yeah.
beautiful, uplifting,
It's fun. It makes you feel good.
comedic
Yeah.
content. I just love
All the bad people grow and become better. It's like that's exactly
Yes.
what you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly what we're going for. And
Yeah.
Like
That's
I
good.
remember hearing about
Hats
Ted
off.
Lasso when it was first a thing, and I'm like, they created this character from
Like a commercial?
NBC Sports. I
Yeah.
think, has like and I'm like, really? Like, is this going to be a Will Ferrell kind of thing where he's like semi-pro? Or
Yeah,
something?
yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. And then I didn't think my wife would want to watch it because she's not a huge soccer fan.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, well, let's just give it a shot. And then blown away by how great it is.
I mean, oh man, so many thoughts. But like number one, Ted Lasso. Yeah, we got on the bandwagon really early, and then there was a point even where we were like telling everyone you have to watch it, and they're like, "What's Apple Plus? Like, how do you watch it?" And we're like, "Oh my god, you'll get on the bandwagon eventually. It'll be fine."
Yeah.
But then like the beauty of sports content, movies, TV shows, whatever, is that if it's well done, it's not about the sport necessarily. And any sports thing, it's just an allegory for a larger storytelling narrative that's so beautiful, and it's like a battle scene, or it's if it's well done, it doesn't matter if you like soccer or football or boxing, because like I don't really watch sports, but I love sports movies.
Sure.
I love them.
I don't like watching sports, but I like watching sports movies.
That's a great point. Now I'm gonna like rewatch all the sports movies and be like, oh, there is like a bigger message.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh,
I stole all of
Yeah.
it. I stole it all.
Damn. Now I can't see Ted Lasso. I mean, I will say I'll go local because you went mainstream.
Cool.
I'll say one of my, which that feels dangerous because there are so many local filmmakers I love. Someone who's in a similar vein to what we do though, and that I watch their stuff and I'll be like, I wish I was as funny as they are, is Blue Barn Productions.
Oh, yeah.
And you can watch a lot of their sketches on YouTube if you search for Blue Barn Productions. They make some hilarious comedy content. They make
Blue
Barn
Productions.
Blue Barn
Productions. Look up
I will.
Llamas. I die laughing every time I watch it.
I'll look it up. That's a good one. Are there any actors or actresses that you have season tickets to, meaning you'll just watch whatever they do? If there's a movie or a show out, you have to watch it.
I really like movies. So when a movie comes
So
out,
everybody-
usually
it's
I'm
just
like, I want to go see that. I probably more will get in a director kick.
Sure.
And I'll be like, oh, I have to see everything they made. But I'll do that for any director. I liked any movie they made. So.
Yeah. We watched so much that like I am so quick to just like fall in love with any actor, director,
You get
like
crushes really
anything.
easy.
Yeah, I'll just like Adam Driver. Like I just watched the trailer for is it 65? And I'm, like, I'm gonna go see
I'm
that.
there. Yeah.
I'm there. But like it's not just Adam Driver. Like Brad Pitt, sure, there too. Margot Robbie, I'm there.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I guess pretty much any movie that doesn't look too scary, I usually go see it.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's okay. I like that answer.
What is your most memorable movie experience?
I have so many. I just like, because like I said, I kind of like, I lived at the movies. That was like what my world was. And like in high school, I would plan out the weekend and like I'd call all my friends and we'd be on like 3 week call. Like, okay, guys, if we go to see Ghost Rider at 2, it's 2.5 hours. And then there's a 15-minute gap and we can go sneak into this other movie. And like, I don't even remember what it was, but like I would always plan 2 movie days. And like some friends would stay for both. Some would like come for the first one and then they'd duck out and then like moms would drop off other kids for the second movie.
He's
that I was
the reason
seeing.
they check tickets now.
Yeah, like
Damn,
damn,
Patrick.
it's my fault. Like I remember having one of like my earliest like first kiss experiences at the Cinemark because I'd just seen, I don't even remember what it was, maybe like Chicken Little or Corpse Bride if those came out in the same time. And then
Either
like,
one of those like prime makeup movies.
yeah. And then, but it wasn't. Yeah, it was just like an innocent 8th grader kiss.
Yeah.
But like it was like we watched the movie and then like she said goodbye and like I gave her a kiss and then she had to like go home with her mom and then like my friends came to go see whatever next movie with me like and I was like, oh my god, guys, I just had my first kiss. And then I saw another movie because like that was just my life. Like,
Man.
Do you have any?
Well, I mean, Harry Potter was obviously like huge.
Sure.
I also though like pretty quickly after that saw Star Wars: A New Hope for the first time, and then Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but those weren't in the theater. They
Not
said
in the theater.
Theater
That was just at
experience is
home.
low.
I didn't go to the theater a lot as a kid, so I'm modifying my answer to fit my life experience, Patrick.
I think it's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, or most memorable like movie experiences, and then later as a teenager, it was just like I went to all the midnight premieres when there were actual midnight premieres with the packed theater of people reacting. Like I love any of those times I've gotten to sit in a full theater.
Yeah,
for
like
a
when
movie.
Avengers came out, like we put together a good group of like our friends and a lot of people that were in, was it Mr. Lee we were shooting at the time?
Yeah, whatever. I don't
And
remember.
a lot of like the Mr. Lee cast was with us.
Oh, yeah.
And, like we all went and saw Avengers in a full theater and that was just an amazing
Because I
experience.
love
that
watching movies, and I also
really
really
miss.
love watching an audience watch a movie.
Sure.
I've always loved experiencing like where they're laughing, where they're reacting, like seeing what is reaching people.
Certain kind of movies are better in an audience anyway, like horror films or comedies sometimes, or like
Yeah.
one of our funniest one is going to see Cabin in the Woods in the theaters and just people
that
reacting
would
to
be
stuff.
awesome. Yeah.
Fun story. My wife didn't know. I don't know if we were married yet, but she didn't know that it was like a satire essentially, and so she was like, why does that guy keep carrying the football around? She was like, what is going on? Like she was like whispering it to me in the theater, and I was like, oh, it's because they're making fun of like these like stereotypes.
That was a good movie.
It is great.
It's such a great film.
Is there, let's see, which one do I want to ask? I have too many. This is maybe pushing into your podcast territory a little bit, but what's a movie that people give you the most grief for never seeing?
It's usually some horror movie. There's a lot. That's the biggest gap probably in my like film knowledge is some of the big horror
Something
movies.
interesting about that is that like we often are like, we're not horror movie people, but like I think in the past couple of years we've watched the most horror movies we've ever watched, like Scream and Halloween.
I'm obsessed with the Alien franchise.
Oh, yeah.
And like
but
we're kind of noticing that like if it's really well done, like
Oh, sure.
we'll still watch it, enjoy it, and love it.
I think I'm
But
mostly
I'm just reticent to jump in.
Yeah.
Right.
I get scared that I'm going to get scared, so then I don't want to watch it. And then I
That's-
watch it, I'll be like, oh, that was really good.
Yeah. That's why I don't always see them in a theater, depending on the kind, because I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to jump and then be frightened in front of people. So, like, I'd rather watch this at home when nobody can see me get scared.
Or you can then get up and like walk around
Well, that
stressed
too.
when
Yeah,
it's too
yeah,
scary.
But then I think
Turn all the lights on.
the biggest movie sin for me of not having seen someone is besides School of Rock, I don't think I've seen a Richard Linklater film.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting
and, like,
gap.
Indie dudes.
I was going to
are
say.
like,
Yeah.
however, he's the god of indie
Yeah,
filmmaking.
yeah.
Like I haven't.
Oh,
I
man.
think School of Rock's the only one.
I do love School of Rock.
I don't
though,
even
so.
think I realized he did that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it doesn't really fit. Well, I mean, I guess some things are some fit, but like it's like one of his most mainstream.
You know, it's
or whatever.
funny. I meant to tell you this. This is like on topic, but you know me.
Okay.
For Love of the Game.
Okay.
Kevin Costner baseball movie.
Yeah.
I just got it on Blu-ray yesterday. It says Sam Raimi did
Yeah.
No
yeah.
way.
it. I'm like, What?
Yeah, it's
he
like
did this like romantic
That's
baseball
baseball
movie,
movie
I
that's
know.
almost 2.5 hours.
yeah, it's a really strange one in his filmography.
I've
It's
never
like,
seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it forever, and so I was
Yeah.
like, my wife needed like $10 more to get free shipping from Walmart. So then I was like, what's some movies?
yeah, it's not the best Costner baseball movie, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
But
Because he's also isn't he the natural?
no, that was
No.
Redford, but Costner was in Field of Dreams,
Bill Durham.
okay.
and he was in
Okay.
Bull Durham, which
Bull
is
Durham.
I do
Bill
love Bull Durham
Burl
also.
Durham.
Of all those, I've only
Tomato,
seen Field of
tomato.
Dreams.
Oh, really? Well, there
I
you
need to
go.
watch more
Yeah.
baseball movies.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
Because you said you love sports
I
movies.
do.
So.
I do.
Yeah.
Was there a movie that inspired you wanting to be a filmmaker?
I mean, I kind of said mine, which was Star Wars, Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I also like Star Wars: A New Hope. Just like, I don't know. I think that was the first movie where I then started learning about how they made it. Like, I
Mhm.
started getting really into like trivia and
Yeah.
how they shot it and how they developed the technology.
Some
to
of
make
the sound
it.
effects how they recorded some of the sound effects is really
Yeah.
interesting.
So I think that was probably the first film I saw when I was like 10, 11, and I started getting really into like the behind the scenes and
Mhm.
the trivia and the making
That
of.
was Fellowship of the Ring for me.
Mhm.
When Fellowship of the Ring came out on DVD, I watched all of the special features. Same with Sorcerer's Stone. I watched all the special features, and I was like, oh my gosh, people are shooting these movies on these like, so you need a camera and you need like all these people, but like
Right.
this is, movies are made by people, and like
Yeah.
those were big ones.
And I think I think we both, I won't speak for you, but I think we both are often like weirdly inspired.
I like you said you won't speak for me, and then you said, but we both.
But-
Yeah.
Well, that's something we've kind of talked about, and then you can disagree if you disagree. I am
you
often
go.
inspired by films that aren't the kind of movies I make or want to make.
Oh, okay.
But kind of like Silent But Deadly is a comedy inspired by horror movies.
Sure.
Like I'll often like, or just see a good movie and be
Mhm.
like, damn, I need to go make a movie. Not like
Sure.
that. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like that was really good. I'm gonna go make something.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
because that was good art. So I want to go make dumb jokes. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree that like, yeah, good art definitely makes you want to make more art.
Yeah.
But then also, I think kind of with the way that we make film, we do play with genre in a way. And that's kind of like, because we're movie nerds. So the thing that we are thinking about is how films are made and how films convey stories. So like, we have a new short that's currently doing film festivals called Vegan Apocalypse. And it definitely is playing on the like apocalypse tropes.
Mhm.
And it has some Mad Max influence that people have noticed. And like, the movie poster looks kind of like a Dune poster. And
Oh, sure.
Silent But Deadly plays on, yeah, like a
Mhm.
stereotypical kind of what a horror trailer looks
yeah.
like.
Mm-hmm.
And Zoink plays on like what is a children's like Scooby-Doo kind of sci-fi vibe, E.T. going on. And we each have movies that as we're writing a movie or creating a movie that we're like, oh, this is our inspiration into this genre, into this type of film.
Yeah.
What is the last new movie you watched? Which I also, you've been watching all these movies for the Bird Watching Film Festival, so I guess like
Yeah, I'll
Mainstream,
give you mainstream.
yeah.
I want to. Can I list three just because I
Yeah.
want to shout out to kind of all three of them?
Sure.
Which is we just watched Weird, the Weird Al Yankovic story.
Oh, it's so
Oh,
fun. Yeah,
It was
Definitely
really
worth
good.
it.
I loved it. Yeah.
In theaters. It was
We just saw Black
either
Panther.
Black Panther or Fablemans.
Oh, we saw those both very recently.
Yeah, I
Those
don't
were
remember
both fun
which.
experiences.
And then People That We Hate at the Wedding on Amazon
Oh,
Prime,
yeah.
the new Kristen Bell
Yeah,
film,
yeah,
That
yeah.
was
which I
fun
think that
too.
just like was a fun like comedy,
Yeah.
very stereotypical like rom-com, and I feel like we don't have a lot of people watching those
Yeah.
nowadays, and that's because we make them, so go watch them. They should be made. No,
Is there a movie that you will defend no matter how bad people say it is?
so many of them, because this is such an interesting thing that like I think movie criticism is important, especially criticism over review. And what I mean by criticism is actually looking at the form of filmmaking and the devices used to tell story, as opposed to the movie was about XYZ and I liked it, I didn't like it. I would rather discuss what about the film made you like it or didn't like it, and what in the form is well done to execute an emotion, like in Titanic. And so I try to defend films just in general
Oh,
because
sure.
like they're made by so many people and no one's trying to make a bad film. No one goes out and is like, we're going to make the worst film ever and no one's going to like it because it's not going to work. You want to make a movie that works and you're trying, but there is 1,000 people, and like if a handful of people don't really have it together, I mean, in the end we always blame the director. It's the director's fault because they're the person that's job is to oversee all of it, but like
Their job is to take the blame. No.
yeah, exactly. But it's so many people trying so hard that like most films, I'll be like, well, here are the things that I want to talk about what worked. But then I do, as a filmmaker, see the value of talking about what didn't work, but I try not to be negative.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about it.
I love if people disagree with me about a movie. Just because like I love hearing why. And I kind of love
absolutely.
that not everybody likes everything, and like different people have different tastes. So I love if somebody didn't like a movie, I want to know exactly why. I want to know like exactly what emotions. I don't know if that's kind of just because I make films too, so I'm always like super curious. I'm like, okay, but what exactly didn't you like? What did you like? Here's what I like.
What didn't work for you about it? And like that's the thing that like we both try to do on the pod especially is not say I liked it, I didn't like it. The movie was for me or the movie wasn't for me.
Sure.
The way they told the story just wasn't for me. Wasn't for me. And like if I see a horror movie, even if it's great, if I don't love it, it wasn't for me. It's just it didn't work for me, but it might for other people.
Yeah.
I also definitely like I even have movies that I love that you don't love, and that's fine.
Yeah.
This was great, guys. I'm gonna we always do the 3 movies, but we've also hit on them a lot throughout the conversation, which is great because we've gone long, and I feel like it would be really easy to just talk forever. So, this was awesome. People should go to the Birdwatching Film Festival.
Yes.
IX Productions.
Yeah.
On YouTube and stuff.
Yeah, you can look up IX Film Productions on YouTube or go to ixfilmproductions.com. Are the easiest.
And then you said every third Wednesday.
Fourth Wednesday.
Fourth Wednesday is the IFC.
That's
That's which is why we're not
That's-
the third Wednesday.
Every fourth Wednesday.
every fourth Wednesday.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. This was awesome.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
thank
It's
you.
been great.